All right, everyone, you may have seen, of course, yesterday the Parkland cults came out and said, well, we're doing our bus tour. It's the Ride for Change component of March for Our Lives. They've upgraded from walking everywhere to taking a bus. I don't know, they must have crowdfunded it or something. Or they bought it with speaking fees or something. They got a loan because they're like, hey, we're going to make millions off this, probably haranguing people. Now they're coming out and saying basically, if you don't support our Ride for Change, it's going to look like you're against kids. And I was thinking to myself, my goodness, what primitive, crude propaganda, in the most literal sense. Against kids is not exactly going to fly. Like you point out, hey, tens of thousands of kids die constantly over in the Middle East because of Uncle Sam's policies, and you want that same Uncle Sam to take a bunch of guns away from private citizens. Then you get into like crime statistics and the fact that none of these people know anything about firearms, and it becomes a clusterfuck. But this is really what's happening increasingly with the alt-left, which is an attempt to bully people into silence. Essentially, it's sort of like the Nazi thing. It's you speak out against mass migration, therefore you must be a bigot. You're a racist and need to be harassed or something. And they throw around these defamatory labels and these sort of newspeak terms on a regular basis because they don't themselves actually have any sane, valid arguments to offer. You don't know anything about firearms. You don't know anything about firearm safety. Your proposals won't actually cut down on any variant of firearm or violent crime. In fact, they'll probably make the situation worse. You're ignorant of FBI crime statistics. What else are you going to do except for insult people and hope that you can sort of bash them into silence to keep them from speaking out against your anti-constitutionalist diatribe? That's basically what it boils down to. Now, the Parkland cult. In case anyone needs to remember this. They're not even kids anymore. They're adults now, legally speaking. Except in the state of California, then you have to be 21 to be an adult, or the government thinks that they can take away your rights at a whim. I think Illinois and Vermont have actually joined them. It's very funny. I think they were talking about raising the smoking age here to 21 as well, which, by the way, I oppose. And I say this as someone who quit smoking, and yes, it's a terrible habit. It does great harm. But if somebody can go over and die for their country, if they want to engage in a vice that can get them addicted and give them cancer, fucking let them. It's their right. They're an adult. If you have the right to vote, you are an adult. Raise the voting age to 21 if you want to pass all these unconstitutional laws. A lot of which ultimately boils down to guns, but I'll tell you one happy thing about this. One good thing. One good thing about the scenario is that it's dying down. This particular part of the social outrage paradigm is really, at this point, it's beating a dead horse. You've seen that they've had problems organizing things, difficulty with originally, in the initial wave of the Parkland shooting, if you criticized the Parkland cult that came out and echoed the same failed bullshit statements of gun control, so-called, that they have been for 40 years now, you got called names and people are like, oh, well, you hate kids or whatever. Now they have to try to remind people that, in order to keep up the outrage, they have to actually themselves talk about you being against kids if you oppose them. Well, that's definitely a huge shift, because before it was basically people around them. It's like the enough is enough, common sense reform now, as though they haven't said that before. I can remember when they said the Brady Bill is common sense gun reform. If you don't like it, you're against kids, you're against having a good, safe, clean, friendly America, and this is the only gun control that we want. We would never go further than this. No, we don't want to ban this type of weapon or ban your ammo. You're crazy. You're a conspiracy theorist. And lo and behold, 2 decades on, they clamor for more. And this is how liberty dies. It dies in little steps. Just a little bit more. Just one more little tax and the balanced budget will magically occur, and it'll never become unbalanced again. One more law, and all of a sudden all crime will go away and we'll never have any issue again. And it's always bullshit. This has been done over and over. It's been replicated in Europe time and time again. Thank goodness we actually have a constitution here that enumerates certain rights that people inalienably have. But that doesn't mean it doesn't come under attack, and to be silent in the face of authoritarians is always a bad idea, because then the authoritarians win. If they can get you to the point where you're afraid to speak out against them, based not on the fact that you simply oppose their ideas, but based on the premise that people will think you're a racist, you hate kids, you want people to die, you're a bigot, you're a Nazi, you're whatever, a sexist or whatever. If they can get you to worry about their stupid labels, and they are stupid, then they can keep you silent, and then they can win. And then they'll do it again. So when people back down, that's a terrible idea. No, you never back down from authoritarians. You never apologize. You try to structure sane arguments against them, and you ignore the bullshit. This is literal bullshit. They're going on a for-profit tour, I believe, as well, which is funny. It's like basically pay $10 to be yelled at, essentially. Oh, America's terrible or something because of its gun laws. They go on tour, and they're like, well, if you don't like the fact that we're doing this, you're against kids. Or literally the statement was, it's going to look like you're against kids. Basically, preemptively, you better fucking support us, otherwise basically will, try to backstab you and tell people to go after you. Oh, this person wants children to die. Well, children were dying. We had an assault rifle ban before in this country, and there were school shootings during the assault rifle ban. I believe Columbine actually happened during that period of time. Yeah, and then you look at Waco, and you look at all the people that died there. No gun involved. No need for a gun. You look at Europe right now, where guns are they're pretty scarce in most of these countries, other than in Eastern Europe. I think Hungary is laden down. It was funny. There are as many guns in the state of Vermont as there are in the nation of Hungary. Apparently. I looked that up once. It was talking about, it's estimate, obviously. It's not a real number. There are plenty of things on the black market that criminals have. There was a thing today, Paul Joseph Watson tweeted it out about basically the moped mafia over in London. In parts of England now, crime is basically, several times every day, someone on a moped will basically ride up and commit a crime and then speed off. I guess the idea is that it's more maneuverable so you can get away from the crime scene. You're zipping along. You go by and grab the old woman's purse and speed off or something, I guess. Or you stab somebody in the neck and then, grab their wallet and get back on your moped. No one's going to stop you because no one's armed. Yet therein lies the problem. His solution, of course, is, rearm the police and let them do their job. That wouldn't be a bad idea, but the police can't be everywhere. Too many criminals. When you have a society in which everything is a crime, everyone's a criminal. Going to become untenable in Western Europe pretty soon. Hopefully they have a libertarian-style reform movement. But yeah, as far as the Parkland cult goes, yeah, I reject your arguments totally. Every proposal you've made won't work. If you're so much for kids, then why is it that one notorious member of this cult was bullying the shooter? Oh yeah, basically, he was a creep and, I used to avoid and ignore him because he was weird. Oh yeah, I'm not surprised. Well, the mental health services in this country are a joke. It appears that the educational system is shot to hell. You've got teachers that join in the bullying, then they wonder why someone snaps. Oh, look at this. You see this in school. Like even I went to a school that is, one of the top 10 in Vermont. Vermont being, I think, number 1 or 2 for educational attainment. Very, very good high school. And yeah, I saw examples where teachers would make fun of people. Mostly it's lighthearted, it's in good humor. And they know not to direct it at the loner over there who already has no friends and feels totally alienated and probably does weird shit with his Iron Maiden albums or something. Okay, maybe so. In some cases, it appears that's not actually true, though, and therein lies the problem. We need to hold teachers accountable and fire those that don't do their job. We need more school resource officers, and we need a better mental health system. If you do that, if you accomplish that, shootings will go down very, very quickly in this country. Much more effectively than saying several tens of millions of law-abiding gun owners need to turn in their assault rifles. It's not going to happen, dude. It's simply not going to occur. You either won't grandfather anything in and eventually it gets repealed, like with the Clinton assault rifle ban. When you realize crime doesn't actually go down, the next time that there's a president who's right-wing, they'll just sign off, refuse to sign back onto it. It'll expire, just like in the Bush era, the assault weapons ban of Clinton's era expired too. Lo and behold, it expires, crime starts to plummet in the country. People who think that we're unsafe, no, you go elsewhere in the world, you're unsafe. Here in the United States, unless you're in one of a handful of cartel-blighted zones, you are exceptionally safe. Gun crime is extremely rare in this country, actually. Because most of the so-called crimes that you're talking about, they involve gangs in inner cities or suicides. Occasionally things like accidental discharge, and they don't involve assault weapons, so-called. They involve handguns. Yeah, here, let me commit suicide with this long gun. Yeah, no, doesn't happen. Yeah, let me rig it to a Rube Goldberg device so that I can get up if I change my mind because it takes 5 fucking minutes to fire off. No, a handgun is used. In the commission of crime, you want a concealed weapon unless you're a total psychopath or it's a cry for help anyway. It's a handgun usually that's going to be involved. This last shooting involved a revolver. It didn't involve an AR-15. So yeah, the boogeyman sort of scare them into silence thing. It's not going to work with most of us. We become desensitized to the bullshit of the Parkland cult and similar anti-gun, anti-constitution cults over time. It's the same. You're the same as a morally haranguing church wife that wants to ban people from saying offensive things. Go after the First Amendment. Or, oh, we need less privacy because people might do bad things through the mail. So we need to, temper the Fourth Amendment. It's too scary and dangerous. It's a scary world, they say while clutching their pearls. Meanwhile, they're totally safe. From their gated community, though, they harangue and harass other people, and they pretend that this is somehow okay. That's about all. Peace out.